What is up, everybody? How we doing? We are doing our daily check-in today. I'm doing it early. Let's see how we do. I hope everybody is rocking and rolling and having a good Thursday. I just heard, I'm super curious to know if we have any parents in the crowd. So I just heard that some schools are closing through the end of the school year. That seems crazy. Can anybody confirm? That would be surprising. I'm very surprised by that one, but I'd love to hear if we actually have some parents out there that know whether or not that's true. What is up to everybody coming into the feed? Good to see you guys. Welcome, welcome. This is part of my daily check-in to see how people are doing during this social experiment that we are all living through of what happens when you sequester people. Hopefully you guys are doing what you can to stay connected to people emotionally. I know that's going to be a big thing, and I just want to read some of these answers. So we've got my daughter's private school is talking about closing to the end of the year. Colleges have been locked down in India. Is that through the end of the year? So I know most schools are closed, but are they closed until the end of the school year? That's what I'm super curious to hear about. Yes, my mom's a teacher for LAUSD. And she's closed till the end of the year. That is bananas. My kids are out for about 3 weeks in Colorado for now. See, that's what I expected. I did not expect people to already be closing for that long. A possibility here in NYC, not confirmed yet. Diet is more important than ever. That is some truth right there. Speaking of diet, so I have a hypothesis that I know people have been talking about for a long time, so do not in any way, shape, or form think that I'm making this up. But now in terms of just actual experience, I really think that what we're going to see proven out more in science in terms of anxiety is that the biggest contributor, and I mean the biggest, is diet. I think that diet is causing a cascade of effects that ends up representing itself as anxiety. But I think that this really is a microbiome thing. You could not have convinced me of that 4 or 5 years ago, but I really think if you are struggling with anxiety, I'm telling you right now, until you have done exhaustive diet testing, that almost certainly the problem is stemming in your gut. That sounds dumb, but I am very convinced that is true. And I would do some research. Don't take my word for it, because I'm just giving you some seriously anecdotal shit. But this is something that people are writing about more and more. Studies are coming out. Yeah, man, I really think that probably not 5 years from now, but 10 years from now, it will just be considered a no-brainer that, yes, this is a microbiome issue. And I think that the reason that we're seeing a lot of things stacking, so meaning that anxiety is worse now than it was 20 years ago, and 20 years ago it was worse than it was 20 years before that. And you see the rise of these chronic diseases is diet-related, and not just ones that we would sort of immediately put in that camp. Like almost certainly even Alzheimer's is a diet-related disease. And I am way outside of my depth here, so do not take my word for it. Definitely research this. But in terms of what you see people talking about, Alzheimer's being called diabetes type 3, for sure heart disease. Cancer is a big question mark about how much of that is diet propagated. But anyway, back to anxiety. I found the other day, as I was being looser on my diet, we'll say, that I actually started to feel slightly anxious. And I was like, why the hell do I feel anxious now? There literally is no trigger whatsoever. And I was like, fuck, is it possible that it is what I'm eating and drinking? I think it was. And I do fear, man, I fucking love diet soda. You can't imagine. But that was the thing that was triggering it for me. So gotta have some real fears around that, because you can't imagine how much I like diet soda. But nonetheless. All right. So anyway, this is my check-in. We got a lot of people in isolation. So I want to make myself available on the daily to see how people are doing, to see if there are any questions that I can answer. Just touch base. I know that there are people out in this world in this crazy time that don't have people that they can cuddle up on. And I really do think that a second best, a second best is probably a pet to get some physical contact. But beyond that, actually connecting with people over the internet, I think is going to be a big deal. So I want to be on here more regularly and just give people an outlet, someone to talk to, or at least hear from, and yeah, answer your questions. Sarah A says, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I want to cry. Sarah, you are not alone. So let's break this down. So here's why you want to cry. You want to cry because your emotions are running away with you. It is not because of the situation that you're in. I promise you that. So this is an emotional state that's taking over. The way to back out of that, you have to get the spiral going in the opposite direction. So step number one, do not look at the problem as a whole. This is where people feel overwhelmed. They feel lost. They're not sure where to go. So you have to break it down into its constituent parts, starting with facts. What are the things that are true? Where are you at in your life? What are the things that you want to do? What is the skill set that would be required to pull off the things you want to do? What can you be doing today that would move you closer to that? Because action cures all. When you're moving towards something, when you're doing something, you will immediately begin to feel better. I know that probably seems overly simplistic, but it's actually true. The human mind is wired to respond to action, to movement, to doing. And that can make a big difference. And speaking of action and doing, everybody meet my son, Bonsai, who is 15 years old and has a heart condition, but he's a trooper. I'm going to pick him up, which means he's probably going to start gagging. So my apologies, but that is his little heart presses on his esophagus. Here we go. And makes him cough. I promise it's not COVID-19. But yeah, so for people that could use a little pet time, there he is. What's up, Bonsai? Say what's up, buddy. So he's not much of a talker. He is he is a very chill dog. For people that think that Chihuahuas are the ultimate yappy dog, you've not met Bonsai. He is very quiet. He only barks if his sister instigates. That's partly because he's deaf as well. So God bless us. Little cotton socks. So yeah, Sarah, back to your issue. Break it down, small pieces, take action, figure out what you want to do, recognize that the human animal is literally designed to grow and change. So wherever you're at, you're not stuck. So, and that's both physically and mentally. So you can make change. You can get where you want to go. It does take time and effort, but it is very possible. And staying focused on the fact that it is possible is going to be a big part of this. Reese Cervantes says, a lot of people are going to be alone and without a clear thing to be doing. This is going to be crazy. How do you recommend that people go through this experience with a positive outcome? So to get the positive outcome, you really have to, God, this all sounds so trite. Okay, so if you want a positive outcome, first you do have to think positively. So to keep that from just being a stupid, mindless statement, let's break down why that is true. So the way that the human mind works, you're getting so much data thrown at you. Your brain has had to develop a mechanism for deciding what it's going to focus on. So part of that mechanism is what's called the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system, or the RAS, is the part of your brain that says, oh, hey, I just bought a red Toyota. Now I see red Toyotas everywhere. So that's the RAS saying, this thing is now important, and so I'm going to start noticing it. I'm going to pay more attention to that. So if you give yourself the signal to think about the things that are working, think about the things that are going well, think about opportunity, you're going to see opportunity. You're going to see the things that are going well. If you give your brain the signal to, think about all the ways that something is going to go wrong, this is how anxiety begins to spiral and get more aggressive. We covered earlier that it's probably starting in your gut, but your mind can certainly spiral it the fuck out of control by worrying about future events, by practicing things going wrong. So number one is really understanding that if you want to get a positive outcome, you really are going to have to focus on what's the opportunity, how do I go about winning, how do I make things come out the way that I want, that it is possible, that you're telling yourself very simple things. Like I tell myself all the time, whatever it is that I'm trying to do, this is possible. It does not violate the laws of physics. And if it doesn't violate the laws of physics, then it is simply a question of skill set. And getting in that mindset allows me to take action. So I was saying earlier, action cures all. And so once you have that in your mind, that action cures all, and you're looking for the behaviors that are going to move you towards a positive outcome, they are always going to be based on getting your mindset in the right place to be focused on the right things so that you take the right action steps. I promise I did not ask anybody to ask that question, and I really was just going through randomly, but it just so happens that today, as a part of this lock-in, we're making a course that I teach in Impact Theory University called Mind. What is happening? All right, so we're making a class that I taught in Impact Theory University called Mindset 101, available for free. So for the next 48 hours, and the link's in my bio, for the next 48 hours, you can get access to Mindset 101 for free. It's a 3-part class. I'm literally giving you every secret that I know about how to get your mind in the right place to be successful. The thing that I had to do, like my story today is a story of poor connection. My story is a story of mindset. So I felt lost. I felt hopeless, frustrated. I had no idea how I was going to make anything happen in my life, all the things that I wanted. I had grand ambition, but I didn't know how to actually make it happen. And what that all came down to was making adjustments to the way that I think, my belief system, my value system, etc. That's all the stuff that I teach in Mindset 101. So for anybody that wants to take that class, it is free right now for 48 hours. You can sign up. Link is in my bio. For those of you that don't know, we launched Impact Theory University. We've been doing that now, for 9 months, 10 months, something like that. I think it is the best content that we've ever put out. We put a lot of time and energy. So take advantage of this 48-hour window where it's free. Again, you can sign up. Links in my bio. All right, word Arivlego, one of those, is signing up. Get after it. Max Mupeace. What's up, Tom? What's up, Max? How we doing? Louis Borge 28. To install a new belief, would you say it might take years of daily repetition? No, I would not say it would take years. So there's debate about how long it takes to form a new habit, but getting a belief to stick in your mind is, think of it like forming a new habit. So some people are going to say it's 28 days, some are going to say it's 45, some are going to say it's 60. I don't think anybody's saying it's north of 60. So it's going to be in there somewhere. I would do more than just repeat it. I would try to really live in accordance with it. I would say it not only to yourself, but to other people. And then the desire to be congruent with that belief will really be compelling. So I highly encourage that. Thank you so deeply much. You are remarkable. Well, thank you. That's from Miss B Soulpreneur. I really appreciate that. Harmi Sahota. Hey, Tom, do you meditate? If so, how do you go about it? Yes, I do meditate. Meditation is one of the most transformational things I've ever done in my life. There have been 2 really big demarcation points in my life when I added fat to my diet. That was huge. And when I say that was a game changer for me, I mean it. That the closest thing I've ever done to taking a drug was adding healthy fats to my diet, which I avoided for years and years and years. What a mistake that ended up being. But doing that, adding healthy fats, and then the other was meditating. So I was struggling profoundly with anxiety. I had not yet discovered that anxiety is almost certainly a microbiome issue. And so my microbiome was a mess, but because I wasn't experiencing it as digestive problems, I didn't make the connection. So that led me to meditating. I didn't want to meditate for a long time because it seemed very soft and genteel, and my big struggle has been to toughen up, so I didn't want to do anything that I felt was moving me backwards. But finally, a Navy SEAL named Mark Devine, what is up, Mark Devine, basically said, Tom, stop being an asshole, go meditate. So I figured if it was good enough for a badass Navy SEAL, that it would be good enough for me. So I sat down and finally did it, and I mean it from the very first breath. I was like, this is going to change my life, because it was pulling me out of the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight, and into the parasympathetic nervous system. So diaphragm breathing is what I call a physiological hook. So it's a physiological hook that if you do it, just from the biological nature of the action itself, you will get into a different mind state. That's biological reality. So that was a big thing for me. So yeah. Dig it, meditate, and I do it very simply. It's what I call just breathe. I sit comfortably, I breathe in through my nose, out through my mouth. I do a 4-part breath cycle, which is based on box breathing, which was introduced to me by, said Mark Devine. And I didn't find that doing the 4 equal parts of the breath was very effective for me, so I started doing it where I am breathing in just sort of at a normal pace. I hold on the inhale very, very briefly. I exhale just by letting it go. and then I hold the breath on the exhale for quite a long time. And that was just me trying to optimize the pleasure of each part of the breath cycle. So, don't necessarily try to follow that. Just find the thing that works for you. All right, Chrissy Briel says, healthy fats are avocado, olive oil, almond, coconut. I don't fuck with almonds. The other ones I'll say yes. Almonds are very high in protein. So I don't really eat a lot of those, but I eat a ton of macadamia nuts. That's super powerful. I eat a lot of avocados. Right now, though, I don't always eat avocados, but they're fucking good. I'm talking take an avocado, get rid of the skin, get rid of the seed, smash it up, put salt on it. That's it. Nothing else. It is fucking delicious. The way that I go about it is I salt it at that very second, literally salt, 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 salt. And then I skim the top layer off and I eat it. Oh man, the salt in the avocado is just so good. So that's how I get down, and I just resalt, reskim until it's gone. It is absolutely delicious. Free Vibey says, I get a lot of physical symptoms, breathing issues, etc. from stress and anxiety. It's so subconscious and I can barely react to it in a productive way because I feel so threatened. Advice, I eat raw. Okay, so I need to know exactly what you're eating raw to really look at your diet. I don't know what other things that you're in. So having a dysregulated microbiome is so individual. So the way that my microbiome is dysregulated is very different than the way that my wife's microbiome is dysregulated. And the process to get them right has been very different. So for me, as much as it pains me to say, the big experiment that I'm running right now is the removal of diet soda. And when I think about the period where I was most anxious in my life, it corresponded with two things. One, the highest stress of my life at work, and then the greatest intake of diet soda. So I use diet soda, and I love it, man. I legitimately, I am not saying that I'm going to cut it out because I love that shit. It is a phenomenal way for me to maintain my body composition. For people that say that diet soda makes you fat, just to reiterate that because I keep losing fucking connection. Diet soda has not led me to gain weight. It has been the way that I've managed my weight, but there's so much individual variability. Who the hell knows what will be true for you? And unfortunately, that is true for the microbiome. But I would focus on diet and exercise. If you have anxiety, diet and exercise. Start with diet and exercise. The simple thing I would say, this is about as close to universal as it's going to get. And again, nothing is universal. But if you eat whole food, okay, nothing processed, eat whole food, and then I would cut out carbohydrates, essentially altogether except from vegetable matter. Even there, I find that I get a high inflammation response from things like potatoes. Some people do not, I do. So figure out what your jam is. I eat a ton of red meat. I think it is fucking amazing. I'm more on the carnivore end, but that's just, I tried doing a, what do they call it? A primarily plant-based diet. I won't say, I didn't go full vegetarian, I didn't go full vegan, but I did not feel good. It's entirely possible that I was just doing it wrong, but when I eat meat, I do feel fucking amazing. Do I take cold showers? Yes, aggressively. I would say that cold showers is a great way to practice managing your anxiety. It's a great way to practice managing stress. It's a great way to practice thinking under pressure. And it's also just good in terms of the immune system. Dambro Fitness. You want to talk about an early adopter. Dambro Fitness has been in my life for a very long time. He said, do you do any of Wim Hof's breathing and cold exposure? Yes. So I'm all about, ever since the episode that I did with him, which if you haven't watched it, watch. The dude is amazing. Ever since I did the episode with him, I've been doing cold showers, and I fucking hate them every single day. They are so hateful. I can't even begin to tell you, but they are super powerful. Starting your day with something hard, I think is just very wise. Its impact on the immune system is amazing, has lots of benefits physiologically and mentally. So yes, I do them. I don't do I have tried as like a super neophyte, his breathing techniques. And they were interesting, but I didn't stick with it long enough to tell you if they would be super useful or not. There's always some region of my brain that's like, hey, you really should go do that. But it took a lot of time. So it just wasn't important enough to me. That's the truth. All right. Gray contrast. Do you think there are any dangers of using discomfort as your compass all the time? It makes me feel amazing, but very vulnerable, very emotional, even though I'm feeling like flying, even though I feel like flying, doing the hard stuff. So, man, listen to yourself. If you are not feeling good doing something, take a break and see how you feel. So I am not I don't want to bullshit anybody. I definitely have a belief system. I have a value system that drives me pretty hard. But one of my values is to be sensible, to listen to myself. And if I'm not feeling good, if I'm not loving my life, then I adjust. So if you're feeling too raw, too vulnerable, then you may need to pull back. But I would say you really need to check yourself. Is it also just that hard things are hard and that you really need to push yourself? So I never push myself to a breaking point. And forgive me, my dog is gagging. For those that have just joined, he has a heart condition. So yeah, I'm not afraid. If I need a day off, I take a day off. So I'm not that guy that's ever going to grind himself into the dirt. That's actually how I'm able to push myself so hard, because I've gotten really good at knowing when I'm just being lazy and when I actually need a day off. So don't be afraid to take a day off if you need a day. But I would say that the vast majority of humanity is more likely to take far too many days off than they are to push too hard. So that be the gospel truth. There it is. All right, guys, quick reminder, and then I'm going to have to bounce. For the next 48 hours, we are making the course Mindset 101 available for free, just as a pick-me-up to help people during this COVID-19 crisis to keep their head in the right place. I'm fucking telling you, it's a 3-part course, and I created that thing specifically to try to teach as quickly and succinctly as I could exactly what I did to my mind to go from feeling lost, hopeless, scared, not knowing how I was going to make anything happen in my life, to being able to not only control my emotions, to control my mindset, but to be able to build the businesses that I built, to have the kind of success that I've been able to have as a result of changing my mindset. So these are literally me pulling no punches. It is highly actionable content, and it's all free for the next 48 hours. So dive in, click the link in my bio, sign up, get the course for free. You have nothing to lose. I can't force you to take the class. I can't do anything more than make it free. So fucking go do it. As I say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So I hope y'all motherfuckers are thirsty, because we've got a cool drink of water for you in the form of Mindset 101 for free for the next 48 hours. Link in bio. All right, guys, make use of it, man. I know a lot of you guys are shut in at home right now. The boss isn't looking. When the cat's away, the mice will play. Now is your chance. So go in there, level up, get your mind right. Mindset 101. It is free. All right, everybody.